In this lecture, we are going to study about structuralism. So, the basic idea behind structuralism is that human culture is the expression of underlying structures of human mind. So, structuralism states that culture is nothing but the expression of underlying structures of human mind, and predominant influence on it was the Gestalt psychology, which stated that human mind functions by recognizing structures and in their absence imposes them. So recognize structure and in their absence imposes them. This was the theoretical influence, and it was earlier developed, or it was in its nascent stages developed or traced to the theoretical framework in linguistics as was developed by Ferdinand de Saussure in 1920s and 30s. So there are two main theorists in the school of structuralism. First is Claude Levi Strauss and second is Edmund Leach. So first we will study about Levi Strauss. So Claude Levi Strauss, he is regarded as the father of structural anthropology, and in his book Structural Anthropology, published in 1973, argued that culture was only a means of communication that held society together. So the only work of culture was that it acted as a means of communication which held society together. And he argued that, like language, culture was also hidden rules, composed of some hidden rules that govern behavior of its practitioners. And these hidden rules, like grammar in language, is understood by participants, but they are unable to articulate. So we can understand why a certain rule of grammar is used or how it is used, but we are unable to articulate the reason behind it. So same is what happens in society, that there are hidden rules that govern the behavior of its members. So what is the goal of structural anthropology? The goal of structural anthropology is to identify these rules. It is to identify these hidden rules. Identify these hidden rules. Now, the most important concept or the fundamental concept to its theory was the binary opposition. So, what is this binary opposition? It argues that humans think in the form of binary opposites, which is reflected in various cultural institutions such as kinship, art, religion, ritual. And these binary opposites differ from society to society, like society A and society B would have different notion of binary opposite, and it is defined in a way which is logical to its members. Like in India, wearing shoes is good when it is worn outside, but considered bad if you wear your shoes to your bed. So this is the concept of binary opposite as per Levi Strauss. Other examples are the pairing of good evil, male, female, peace, war. All these are examples of binary opposites. So search for the underlying structures of social life led Strauss to explore three principal areas, and these were kinship system, totemism, and myths. So, kinship system. In his work, Elementary Structure of Kinship, published in 1949, he argued that there are four types of organically linked relations. And what are these four types? Filial, conjugal, avuncular, and sibling. So filial is father-son, conjugal is husband-wife, avuncular is mother's brother and sister's son, and sibling is brother-sister. And these are nothing but binary opposites of relations. And if we look closely, then even the moiety system that we'll study in our topic on kinship is nothing but a predisposition to think in binary opposites. Now coming to another important topic of incest taboo. So as per Strauss, incest taboo reflects property of human mind to think in binary opposites. And marriage involves exchange of women to form an alliance between two families and not just relation between man and woman. And human mind uses binary opposition to structure incestuous marriage as bad and marrying outside as good, as it increases the chances of survival. Now another important concept was of totemism. So Strauss argued that totemism is nothing but a mode of classification. And how did it work? He argued that totemic classification is a means of thinking governed by condition that we find in case of language. And totemism played cognitive and intellectual function and did not see it purely as religious in nature. Like, and this could be understood from statements such as totems are not good to eat, they are good to think. So think, that is cognitive and intellectual relation or function. Now before moving ahead, we will uh, slightly touch the topic of savage mind, given by Strauss in his 1962 book, in which he argued that savage mind was not the primitive mind but the universal mind universal mind of human beings, that is the untamed human thought, and this is in the unconscious. So he's tried to reach to the unconscious of human mind. Now coming to one of the most important study of Strauss, which was the structural analysis of myth. In his article The Structural Study of Myth, Strauss argued that to study myth, we need to identify units of myth which are called mythemes or mythemes. So myth is not to be read as stories but broken down into mythemes and relation between them examined. In his 4-volume book Mythologics, he studied several hundred myths across different cultures, and he argued that myths represented the idea of binary opposites, and one tale could be converted into another through series of simple operations. And what were these operations? These were converting positive element into negative element, reversing the order of the myth, on replacing male hero with a female hero. So he argued that Cinderella story could be converted into Ash Boy story by performing these operations. Similarly, he also studied the Oedipus complex, and this you can study in depth in your textbook or notes if you want, but this is the basic idea behind the study of myths. So this was about Levi Strauss, and in our next lecture we will cover the topic of Edmund Leach. Thank you.